Somewhere along your journey of awakening, perhaps after a profound spiritual insight, a personal breakdown, or a moment of piercing clarity, you felt something shift. It was as if a veil lifted, revealing the illusion, the patterns, the noise, the relentless churn of life, and then silence. At first, this silence was powerful, almost electric, even empowering. You sensed a truth beyond the surface, a glimpse of something vast and unshakable. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, that sense of meaning began to fade. Not in a dramatic collapse, not overnight, but quietly, as if your soul turned down the volume on life and forgot to turn it back up. You stopped chasing dreams, stopped caring, not in a reckless or apathetic way, but in that quiet existential sigh kind of way. A question began to whisper, growing louder with each passing day. Why do I feel so numb now that I've glimpsed the truth? This experience, though deeply disorienting, is not uncommon. There's a strange paradox at the heart of spiritual awakening. We expect it to ignite our passion, to fill us with purpose and drive, to light up our lives like a cosmic firework. But for many, especially the deeply introspective, the empaths, the seekers, those who feel the world's pulse in their bones, it does the opposite. It empties us. It strips away the scaffolding of meaning we once clung to, leaving us in a vast, uncharted void. This void, this sacred pause, is both a gift and a challenge, and it's a phase that Carl Jung, the pioneer of analytical psychology, understood with profound clarity. I recall a conversation with a friend, a woman of remarkable intellect and spiritual sensitivity. She was someone who devoured the works of Eckhart Tolle, Alan Watts, and Jiddu Krishnamurti, annotating their pages with fervor. She attended retreats, meditated for hours, and sought the truth with a hunger that was almost tangible. Then, after a particularly harrowing dark night of the soul, a period of intense emotional and existential unraveling, she experienced what she called a massive awakening. She told me, "I got it. I saw through the illusion of identity, the ego's endless chasing, the futility of external success. It was like waking up from a dream." For a moment, she felt free, untethered, alive in a way she'd never known. But 2 months later, I found her in a different state. She was lying in bed, staring at her ceiling, barely able to rise. "I used to cry over not achieving enough," she confessed, her voice heavy with confusion. "Now I don't care if I do anything at all. I thought awakening would light me up, not leave me like this." Her story is not unique. It echoes the experiences of countless others who, after piercing the veil of illusion, find themselves adrift in a fog of meaninglessness. This post-awakening fog, as I've come to call it, is a phase that Jung hinted at decades ago. He didn't frame it in the trendy spiritual terms we use today, no talk of vibes or manifestation. Instead, he spoke with the precision of a psychologist who understood the mechanics of the psyche. In one of his most quoted insights, Jung said, "Enlightenment doesn't come by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." It's a beautiful line, often shared on social media with dreamy backgrounds, but its truth is far more sobering. Awakening, Jung suggested, is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a psychological death, the death of who you thought you were, the collapse of the structures that once gave your life meaning. Goals, careers, relationships, even your perception of time itself. But here's the catch, Jung would point out. Your ego doesn't vanish in this process. It's not obliterated like some spiritual fairy tale might suggest. Instead, it becomes confused, disoriented, like a weary traveler who's lost their map. Without a new map to guide it, your motivation, the fuel that once powered your ambitions, disappears. You're not depressed in the clinical sense, nor have you simply lost motivation. You're in limbo, suspended between worlds. You've woken up from something, the illusion of the ego-driven life, but you haven't yet woken up into something else. This limbo, this in-between, is what Jung referred to as a sacred pause, a necessary phase in the journey toward true individuation, the process of becoming your authentic, whole self. What you're feeling in this moment isn't failure, though it may feel like it. It's not depression or anxiety in the conventional sense, though it can mimic those states. It's something ancient, sacred, and deeply misunderstood. Jung warned that our modern world, obsessed with productivity and progress, avoids this phase at all costs. We're taught to fear stillness, to equate pause with paralysis, to label the void as laziness. But Jung saw it differently. He believed this sacred pause was essential, a crucible for transformation, a space where the psyche could recalibrate and prepare for a new way of being. Yet no one tells you about this part, do they? The spiritual books, the retreats, the gurus, they focus on the ecstasy of awakening, not the disorientation that often follows. If you're navigating this post-awakening fog and yearning to understand the deeper layers of your journey, join our Fractal Wisdom community. Subscribe now to access insights, reflections, and practical tools that illuminate this wild, transformative path. Let's explore the unseen together. Let's dive deeper into what's happening in your psyche after awakening, and why this loss of motivation might be the most profound spiritual upgrade you've ever experienced, if you understand it correctly. For most of your life, your motivation came from your ego identity, the me you believed yourself to be. You wanted to prove yourself, to be seen, to succeed, to be loved. These desires weren't wrong, they're part of human development. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to function in society, to navigate relationships, careers, and social expectations. The persona isn't a lie, it's a tool, a necessary one, but the awakening process strips away this mask, sometimes gently, sometimes with brutal force. Suddenly, you're not striving to be liked or to win at life because you see the game for what it is, a construct, a story, a fleeting illusion. This realization is liberating, but it's also disorienting. Your old goals, those carefully crafted plans, the 5-year visions, the hustle culture playlists that once fueled your drive, don't fit anymore. They were tailored to a version of you that no longer exists, a persona that's been outgrown. You're like a character in a play who's stepped off the stage, standing in the wings, unsure of your lines, or even what the play is about. That's why you feel unmotivated. You haven't lost your drive, you've outgrown the fuel that powered it. Jung believed that we're not here to serve the ego indefinitely. Our deeper purpose is to integrate it, to align it with something greater. What he called the self with a capital S. The self is not the small, praise-hungry ego, but the transcendent core of your being, the soul-level center that connects you to the universe, to everything. When awakening occurs, your psyche begins a profound recalibration. It starts rejecting anything inauthentic, anything rooted in ego, unfulfilling jobs, shallow relationships, ambitions that no longer resonate, even that vision board you made in 2021 with such hope. This rejection can feel like a loss, but it's also a liberation. You're shedding what no longer serves you, making space for something truer. However, Jung cautioned that pausing here, lingering in the void without moving forward, can lead to a trap known as spiritual bypassing. This is when you convince yourself that nothing matters, that it's all just an illusion, so you disconnect, float, and numb out. You mistake detachment for disengagement, apathy for enlightenment. But the self wants something different. It wants to live through you, to bring meaning, truth, and presence into your human experience. It doesn't reject the world, it redefines your role in it. To step into this new way of being, you must navigate a peculiar middle phase, one that Jung described with remarkable insight, but few recognize while they're in it. He called it enantiodromia, a term borrowed from ancient philosophy, meaning the process by which things flip into their opposites. In the context of awakening, enantiodromia is the swing of your inner pendulum from ego-driven striving to soul-level stillness. You move from "I must do everything, achieve everything, be everything" to "why do anything at all?" This swing is not a mistake. It's sacred. It's how balance is restored, how the psyche recalibrates after the shock of awakening. In mythology and ancient teachings, this is the hermit phase, the moment of retreat before rebirth. It's the caterpillar dissolving into goo inside the cocoon. Not a butterfly yet, not a caterpillar anymore, just formless potential. And yes, goo doesn't hustle. It doesn't check off to-do lists or chase deadlines. It dissolves, transforms, prepares. Our hyperproductive world, however, misdiagnoses this phase. Stillness is labeled as laziness, pause as paralysis. You might judge yourself, wondering why you can't get it together or why you're not living your truth with the enthusiasm you expected. But this judgment blocks the very energy your soul is trying to summon. Jung would argue that this sacred nothingness is where the unconscious finally has space to rise. Your psyche, in its infinite wisdom, stalls your motivation, your drive, even your access to clarity, forcing you to sit with what's been buried, the fears, the wounds, the unacknowledged parts of you. This is what Jung called shadow integration. The process of facing the repressed, uncomfortable aspects of your psyche. It's not optional, it's the core curriculum of becoming a whole human soul. Modern spirituality often skips this hard work, promoting slogans like "follow your joy" or "high vibes only." While intention and energy matter, Jung would warn that bypassing the darkness means bypassing the gold. The sacred pause, this void you're in, is where transformation happens. It's where the unconscious speaks, where dreams, synchronicities, and gut feelings begin to guide you. Your psyche isn't failing you, it's metabolizing decades of conditioning, ego-driven desires, and societal pressures. It's preparing you for a new kind of motivation. One that's not rooted in fear or external validation, but in alignment with the self. When you stop resisting the void, when you surrender to the stillness, something remarkable begins to happen. Motivation starts to return, but it's different this time. It's not anxious, not performative, not tied to hustle or applause. It's quieter, older, more like remembering than chasing. Jung called this the emergence of the self. Not as a concept, but as a living inner compass. This self doesn't demand that you do more or be better. It guides you to respond, to create, to connect in ways that feel true. You're no longer motivated by fear of missing out or the need to prove yourself. You're guided by what resonates, what aligns with your soul's truth. Living from the self doesn't mean you'll always feel motivated in the traditional sense. You may still experience waves of fatigue, confusion, or even grief. That's part of being human. But you won't feel that constant sense of inner betrayal, the exhaustion of dragging yourself through a life that doesn't fit. Instead, you might notice subtle shifts. You're drawn to create even when no one's watching. You say no to opportunities that don't resonate, even if they look good on paper. You follow curiosity over checklists, choosing peace over performance. This is the new fuel, not adrenaline, but alignment. Jung called this way of living the symbolic life, where you trust your inner imagery, dreams, intuitions, synchronicities as guidance. It's not about escaping the world, but participating in it with soul. What does this look like in practice? Sometimes it's as simple as asking different questions. Instead of "what should I do?" ask "what's quietly calling me?" Instead of "what's the plan?" ask "where is life nudging me?" Instead of "how can I prove myself?" and "what feels honest?" You begin to collaborate with life rather than trying to control it. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition. It means transforming it. Ambition becomes devotion to truth, to presence, to growth. And the irony is, this soul-led energy is far more effective than the ego's frantic striving. It's sustainable, rooted in wholeness rather than performance. If you've been feeling like your spark has vanished after awakening, know this: the old fire burned out to make way for a deeper flame, one that doesn't flicker when external winds blow. Jung didn't promise an easy path, but he offered a map for those willing to walk it. You're not lost, you're becoming. This post-awakening fog, this sacred pause, is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one where you live not for the ego's applause, but for the self's quiet, unshakable truth. If this resonates, share your story in the comments below. How has this journey felt for you? Subscribe to Fractal Wisdom for more content exploring psychology, soul, and self-awareness with practical insights for real life. Join our community to navigate this transformative path together, because awakening isn't the end, it's where the real story begins.